Welcome to the All for the Gators podcast.
Gentlemen, Rainey, Doring, Jabbar Gaffney, Ben Troop. What a beginning, huh?
Quite a roster to start.
I know. Pretty awesome.
This is the All for the Gators podcast. I am your host, John Spano, with my co-host, Mr. Andy Pankratz and Sid Kafka. Man, 5 shows in, and the Gator Nation is embracing us, fellas.
I don't blame them. We've had some pretty amazing guests to get started.
Pretty much an all-star roster so far. That's pretty awesome. Can't wait to see who's coming on today.
And you can catch us on Twitter. We're at A4TG Podcast on Twitter. You can catch us on Instagram and Facebook. We do giveaways. And if this is the first show that you're hearing,
go back and listen to the other ones.
Yeah, right. That's true. But if this is the first show you're hearing, let us reintroduce ourselves. I'm an 18-year rock radio vet. Andy's a minority owner of the Packers, and Sid, well, he loves the Jets. We all grew up together, and we're all UF alum and diehard Gator fans. We don't make a penny off the show. We do it for the love of the Gators. We have a Gator Great on each week. We discuss their life and experiences.
And we have a Gator Great in the house.
Okay, then, let's get to it. Today's Gator Great is one of, if not the first, premier speed guys to energize the swamp. He's a Pennsylvania kid, and in high school, he earned first-team All-State and All-American honors on the football field and was an elite sprinter on the track team, even balled out with Kobe Bryant on the basketball court. Even though he was wavering towards Tallahassee, he chose to come down to Gainesville, and as a Gator, amassed over 2,300 all-purpose yards, averaged over 27 yards a kick return, had 10 total touchdowns, and earned all SEC stripes in 1999 as well. Every time this guy touched the ball, returning, rushing, receiving combined, he averaged over 11 yards a touch. In track, 12 All-American honors, tying a UF record, and as a member of the 4x100 relay team, captured the 2000 NCAA National Championship. Before there was Kadarius Toney, before there was Percy Harvin, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Gator great Mr. Damon Bo Carroll.
All right.
Oh, another elite speedster.
Oh, yeah.
And an all-time favorite of ours.
Absolutely.
That's a heck of an introduction right there.
So he usually messes something up, Bo. So did he mess anything up in there, or did he miss something?
Was that accurate?
All good. All good.
All right.
Before we get started, I just want to say that you're one of our all-time favorite Gators. This is so cool to get the chance to sit down and talk to you. We were literally in the student section when you were tearing up the swamp.
Yeah, it was one of the best times of my life. I just love going out there, playing with the guys, being in front of the huge stands, nice loud crowd. I mean, it was one of the best times of my life. I just love to have the opportunity to actually play at that level, and then to now people actually see like how good the SEC actually has always been. So I'm really blessed, really blessed. I really appreciate it.
Now, you grew up in the Northeast, right, in Pennsylvania, about 1,000 miles away from Gainesville, Florida. You wanted to come down to Florida because of your mom. Can you tell us a little about why she wanted to come down to Florida?
Yeah, well, she visited Florida, and I just remember when I was like maybe about 7 years old, I just remember her mentioning like how much she loved Florida. It was just weird because obviously like about 10 years later, I get a chance, I'm getting recruited by everybody everywhere except for one school that we won't mention. So I was just like, let me get opportunities, like, let me go see, like, why she loves it so much. So I went down there, I visited, left January, left 3 feet of snow, in shorts and a t-shirt, having a barbecue in the late January. I was like, yeah, I can get used to this. Also, like the university, like out of all the schools I visited, like it was the one school that was like, anything you need, like pretty much we'll take care of you. If you need tutors, like if you need any help with anything, like we'll take care of you. Like we'll supply you with what you need. Like they'll support me. So it just seemed like family. It just seemed like a great support system because I wasn't hearing that from too many other schools. It was like they didn't promise me anything, playing or anything. It was just like, hey, you come down here, we want you. We got pretty much the things to make sure that you'll be successful. And I really just fell in love with it.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Before we go on, I got to talk a little bit about you played against Kobe Bryant in high school.
Yep.
What sticks out in your mind about those games against him? Did everyone kind of know he was that good and he was going pro?
Well, the first time I played against him was in middle school.
Oh, okay.
He was tall, like real tall, real thin. All he could do then was just hit free throws. Like he really wasn't that athletic.
It wasn't the Mamba yet.
I was like, he's a tall kid and he can make free throws. That was all he really could do.
He was the garden snake then.
Yeah. Over time, he just junior year, we played him in the playoffs, and he just kind of took over. We're playing him like he literally just would take one step past half court and just started hitting threes. Like a brand new person. Like, who is this guy?
Wow.
He's really good dude too. Really good dude. But we had some pretty good battles there.
Why'd you want to go to FSU, man?
Well, growing up north is like Big Ten country. So I seen Florida State, they would like always come up and play like Michigan and schools like that. So I seen Florida State play Michigan. And I just loved the way they played the game. You know, it was kind of like even passing the ball, trick plays. It looked fun. Whereas like, up north it's pretty much about, hand the ball off 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Like that's all it was. And like I seen Florida State and they came and played. So that's what I was seeing on TV. So I was like, I want to play in that type of system where it's like, it's an open system. It's not just hand the ball off and see what happens.
Were you a track guy that got into football? Were you a football guy that got into track, or were you just an all-around athlete growing up?
Well, I was like, I would say I was an all-around athlete. My first sport I played was baseball. Football, first time I saw it, I fell in love with it. Like 7 years old, and then the next year I started playing it. Track was something like 1 year, it's kind of going through some rough times, and I just couldn't make baseball again. I was on like the junior national team for baseball. But it's like because of the things I was going through, I had to quit. And I never quit my life, but I had to quit the team. So there are a few people that were in the neighborhood that was like, oh, you should try track out. The first year I kind of went out there and did what I could do, ended up getting kicked off the team. But then the next year I had like some parents and some people that I really knew that were really taking care of me. So they made sure I stuck with it and I just was doing really well at it. And then it also got me out of my little town where I got to see like Virginia, Delaware, Jersey. Like I got to see outside of the little place where I came from, kind of like a way of getting out of town. So that's what kind of attracted track to me. Definitely was 1,000% football. Track was just something that, I kind of really was doing well at it when I put my mind to it, really worked hard at it. And it really gets you to focus because it's an individual sport. So it kind of is you versus you. So it got me to see kind of another side to it, doing the best you can. Because when you're out on the track, that's all it is. So football is like you got teammates, for me, like you don't want to disappoint them. But, sometimes you get some people that don't show up all the time. Whereas track is like you better show up today or you're going to get embarrassed. So I kind of brought that mentality to football where I was like, all right, well, I better show up every day at practice, every day on the football field, or I'm going to get embarrassed.
You show up at great timing. Your freshman year, win a national championship. So that's a great start. You were redshirted then, but excellent beginning to your Gator career. How did that kind of shape things for you going forward, having that taste of success and plan for the next stages of your career?
Well, it was very insightful. So it was funny because Coach Spurrier was like, actually asked me if I wanted to play in the game. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to lose a year of eligibility
For one game.
Because I'm thinking like, this is going to happen because, the year before was Nebraska, it wasn't pretty, but it just kind of seemed like this is going to continue. But it did give me some insight on like how important scout team is because I was work done that week. I was having a good time against that defense. So I saw how it really prepared them for that game, especially after being at home watching it and seeing work done just run up and down the field. And then to be there and actually prepare them for it and then to be ready for it, I see how much of a difference that made for everybody to be like intact and doing what they're supposed to be doing to prepare the team and get them ready. So it made me see like, oh, every aspect of the game is really important. It's like just because you're on scout team doesn't mean that you shouldn't be respected. So it was like, it was awesome because it was like, oh, it got me a national championship ring.
Sure.
First year thinking like, all right, like this just happens. But yeah, you start to realize as you get in, I think maybe we kind of got caught up in the, being ranked number one but it was like, you could see when I first got there, like the work ethic was like, because they just lost, it was like nonstop. Off season, like everything was serious from the time I went in to that national championship game. Like it was like business. Like everybody was doing every single thing extra and everything. You can tell they were on a mission. And they made sure that they fulfilled that mission. And then afterwards, a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys coming in, including me. Warford was going that year. It's Hughes, so you got new quarterbacks, new receivers. So even defensive guys. So it's kind of like you're filling in a lot of position with a lot of young guys. So you don't really see it that way as you're doing it. You're just like, all right, we're gonna go out here and do our thing. But being Florida, everybody's gonna give you their best shot. Everybody. It's like I got blessed, I got that championship, but also like afterwards, like, all right, well, you just start to see that you're the hunted. So, being a hunted, like you gotta work harder than the ones that are hunting you.
One of the things I've learned from doing this show and talking to all these Gator greats, a reoccurring theme that has come up has been how impactful being on the scout team has been, right? We heard from Doring with Danny. We heard with Gaffney and Rex, these guys working on the scout teams. And I mean, I can't even imagine, and Bo Carroll on the scout team going against first team defense. As fans, we don't realize that's going on behind the scenes, making you into, the greats you're going to become.
Take that for granted.
Most of the people that are there are all American. Like they're the man on their high school team. But when you get to college, you're just like everybody else. Like you don't really stand out. Premise is like you got to show up and show out, or get sent home. Especially me, because I was from Pennsylvania. So, and I was coming to Florida.
Something to prove.
Like once I got down here, I was like, it's like you don't have to recruit out the state of Florida. Like I felt special. Like dang, like they recruited me from Pennsylvania down to Florida, because Florida, the state of Florida football is life. Like where I'm from, like I said, you got Kobe, you got Rip. Like basketball is the biggest thing, and there's so many different things to do. But it's like football is not seen at the level, at least outside of Philadelphia, that is seen in Florida. Like literally, Florida football is life. I knew it was bad. Like the Georgia game, I had a pretty good game. We won a game. I had a touchdown, had over 100 yards rushing. I got back to the dorm rooms. My homegirl that was a girl, she chewed me out for missing a block. I was like, that's when I knew how serious it was. I was like, I had a good game. I didn't even get to the coaches to see the film yet. I just got off the bus. You already chewed me out for missing a block. And it's like, I can't block two people. It was two people came off the edge. I was like, I can only get one of them. So yeah, that's what really is like. Yeah. It really just made me see like, all right, you better come down here. You better play. You better prove yourself, and you better do it every chance you get, or you may never see the field.
Yeah, and you were there with some ridiculous coaches. You had Spurrier as the head coach, offensive coordinator. You had Stoops as the defensive coordinator. Personally, in my opinion, that's one of the greatest coaching tandems in the history of college football. But we had a lot of great coaches, come out of the Spurrier coaching tree. Did you have any favorites in there?
Kind of tough. I mean, I love Coach Spurrier. He ain't really coached me like personally, but for me, Coach Spurrier was honest. Like he let me know how it actually is. Because I had 3 different position coaches. First it was Pruitt. Pruitt went to Marshall. Then it was Zook. Zook went to Pittsburgh. So by the time I got there, and all the people that recruited me were gone.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. Had Coach Buddy Tevens, like the junior year when I actually got all SEC. Like he was kind of his first year trying to fill it out. So that was kind of a year where, for me, that like every scrimmage, everybody plays. No matter who you are, walk on anything, everybody plays. But we had our first scrimmage. I didn't play a single down. So I'm like, what's going on? So, Rob Gillespie, Ernest Graham, Chuck Marks, Vinez Goots, they all getting playing time. I'm like, I've been here like 2 years. Everybody plays in the scrimmage, at least one down. So the next day I go into Spurrier's office. He's like, yeah. He's like, you didn't get to play. I was like, nah, I didn't get to play at all. He's like, he's like, you should have got at least, about the same amount of time as like Gooch. Gooch had about 2 or 3 plays. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate that, Coach Spurrier. At least you're telling me where I'm at. So it was like, you're telling me
right.
I'm 5th string. Like pretty much you don't expect me to play at all. Just special teams. And that was like all the motivation I needed that year. I was like, okay, at least he's honest. Because it's like I got a guy that's new and and he ain't really give me a chance. So I was like, so the next scrimmage, they made sure I played, and the first 3 players I touched the ball, like 2 of them were touchdowns. One was like 40 yards, the other one was 50 yards. So then they were like, all right, well, let's see what he can do down the goal line. So I'm down the goal line. Everybody's behemoth. I'm still scoring. Like, I just didn't care. It's like, hand the ball 3 times, 3 touchdowns. Just going straight through it. Like, I just didn't care. It's like, pretty much you're saying, I'm not going to play anyway. And this is my chance to play. Let's play then. So I went out there and did what I had to do. Then, like, the next week, it's, oh, yeah, you're first string now. I was like, no, I'm good. Like, when you become a string, you move up as far as, like, the warm-up line. Like, you'll be up in the front of the warm-up line. I was like, no, I'll stay back here because it gave me the mentality, like, all right, well, this is where you put me. This is the mentality I need to keep having because obviously you guys just don't believe in me. Like, you just don't see it. I see it in myself. So I'm going to keep proving it every single day, every single opportunity, what I could do. So it just kind of gave me that mentality. That's why I was like, as far as like it's being impactful, I say Spurrier because at least at that time when I talked to him, at least he was honest with me.
So one thing about Spurrier that I think I heard it on a podcast you were on, you were talking about he liked to have all the speed guys race at the end of practice.
Yeah, it's always like doing.
And you said something like you never lost early on.
Nah.
But
yeah, then
did anyone ever beat you?
As I got older, like my junior year, and I was like, why does he keep doing? Because you figured out like, why does he keep doing this? So there's a new guy, John Capel.
Oh, there.
He's like, all right. So at the end of practice, we're the only 2 guys racing. I'm like, all right, he's playing wide receiver. I'm playing running back where I'm getting hit every play. He playing wide receiver. You get nudged and stuff like that, but you ain't knocking heads every play.
Yeah, you're not getting beat down.
So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out here. Yeah, I'm gonna do just enough. I mean, he's a fast. Look, don't get what John Cabell was a fast guy, very fast. I can say I've never beat him in a track race. I've never beat him. Like at this point, it's like I'm junior. It's like it's like I get you want to prove something. So we go compete and he win, but I'm like, I'm dead tired. Like, why would you even do this? He loves the competition. I guess if I was a coach too, as I've learned, if you got fast guys, it's exciting to have. That's like a Christmas present. It's very exciting to have because you can't coach speed.
Yep.
It's like the funny part is like when I was in high school, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, because I'm doing good in all these big time games that in Pennsylvania, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, they like me because I perform. I had no idea it had anything to do with how fast I was. No clue until like way after that. I was like, oh, that's why I got recruited. Can't coach speed.
Let's go back to what you said about after you were told by Spurrier that you should have had 2 or 3 plays. You knew where you stood. If there was a transfer portal then, would you have been gone?
Probably not. My mentality is like, if you started there, you finished there. Because pretty much before that season, there's people that were in the upper echelon, like between the athletic office and stuff like that was like, you should transfer. I guess they pretty much could see that I was not going to get a fair chance or fair shot. And this kind of all started like with the high school I went to. Like my high school, typically nobody ever makes it out. You need to like get in trouble and go to Glen Mills. Glen Mills is like a detention center, but they were like sponsored by Nike and everything. And then there was like schools that were around my area. It's like, oh yeah, you need to transfer there. That way you'll get out. I just refused to believe those were my only options. So it's kind of the same way when I was at Florida. I was like, just because you have a problem doesn't mean you don't face it or you run away from it.
Let's go back to the head ball coach for a second. And he had a quick trigger finger when it came to quarterbacks and their play. As a fan, when we were there, and, of course he did it before we were there and after, and sometimes he would even punt on 3rd downs, but he would swap out the quarterbacks. And I always wondered how that affected the team, his teammates, having your leader being swapped out, every other drive or whatever. Did that ever affect you psychologically? Did that frustrate you at all? Or did you just roll with whoever was in there?
For me, it really didn't affect me at all. Like, I really didn't think about it. Because, like, when you're at that level, like I said, you're competing for your job every day. So if I'm thinking about, what quarterback or stuff like that or anybody else is doing, pretty much it's like I'm not focused on me getting my job done. So my focus was just on me, like I said, doing the best I could do to make sure I did my job and did my job to the best of my ability. Because it's like we had plenty of talent in my position. We were all different, but we were all very talented. So it was like my focus was just on me getting better and me doing my job to the best of my ability. Because pretty much after Warfel left, literally it was always like a merry-go-round. The first year was like you would see Doug, then it'd be Jesse, and then it'd be Noah, That was like my freshman year. So I was used to just different play callers. And it just pretty much continued until pretty much I guess he decided, like, you know what? Rex is the man. Like, all right, we're going to go with Rex. That was like my senior year by then. So my job was just to focus on me being prepared and make sure that when it was my turn to step up, I was ready to.
Talking about quarterback swapping, I got to bring up this story. Me and Andy played intramural flag football at UF. Hold on, Andy. And I was the quarterback, and we were having a great year. But one game, when you first got to the field, you had to show the ref your student ID, your Gator 1 card.
Mhm.
And I couldn't find mine anywhere. And, man, I ripped apart my car. So Andy had to play quarterback. I couldn't play. He ends up doing really well. They blew out the team. So when I come back,
You got Wally pipped.
yeah, there was a quarterback controversy there. So it's very similar to like Johnson Palmer, right?
Yeah, very similar, sure.
So getting back to the real athletes, obviously great players make big plays, and you had many of those at your time in Gainesville. Do any particular plays stand out as your favorites, a long return or a big touchdown in a crucial game? Do you have a favorite Gator memory?
Whew. There's a lot of them. A lot of them. Probably my first one, my freshman year, the first time Arkansas kicked the ball to me. And it was the beginning game, and I took it to the house. It was the first time any team decided to kick the ball to me, like on kickoff. It was weird because, like, all right, we don't play Kentucky. I thought at least Tennessee would kick it to me. But they did recruit me, so I guess that's why they didn't. So that one, because it was like, finally I get an opportunity to touch the ball and make a play. And it's the beginning of the game, and it was just pretty much just excitement. Got the ball, I was like, finally, it's like, oh, it's coming to me. Then it's like, all right. Then once you get it, pretty much instincts just kicked in. It's just all about seeing a hole and hitting it downhill and going through as fast as possible. So it was that was like probably the first most memorable one. I always like the long runs. Then was like for running play, it was against Auburn when they gave me a sweep and I took it like 63 yards, broke a tackle, cut back, took it to the end zone. And then it was as far as like catching the ball, senior year was playing like Ball State and they ran me like out the backfield on a wheel and I caught like a 75-yard touchdown. So it was like, it's always the long ones that kind of stick with me. Because to me, it's like, that's me proving like anywhere on the field I can make a play. So those long ones are the ones that kind of stick out to me. But I guess there's one that really sticks out to me is the one I always hear about from everybody, which is the LSU game.
Yep.
On the kick return.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a couple plays before, we'll say supposedly I fumbled. We'll say that. Even though the ball was handed to me to my throat.
Supposedly.
Yeah, it was handed to me in my throat. I was like, okay. So I was ticked off because I got to the sideline and, Spurrier, they all chewing me out. Ain't no cuss words, but they chewing me out. So I'm like, mad. It's like, I know it ain't my fault, but I ain't going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, you ain't going to blame on your quarterback because, like, I need my quarterback. Like, I need my teammates to make sure that they're always on a high level. Like, I need to make sure they're happy. So I was like, all right, coach, my bad. So the next kick return, I was just so mad. They kicked the ball like 5 yards into the end zone. I did not care if it was 9 yards in the end zone. I was bringing it out. Like I didn't care at that point. Like I was so mad. I was like, I don't care how deep this is. I'm bringing it out. Like cut up to the left. And then I saw a hole, went straight, saw a little kicker, cut back to the right. So I'm like, free to go.
There goes number 2.
So I'm like, all right. So I'm like at the about the 15-yard line, I take a peek back, and like John Capel is like running up on me. I'm like, it's like, where'd you? I was like, did you block anybody? I was like, did you block anybody? Like anybody? So I'm like, all right. So I score, have a good time. So, but every single time somebody meets me, that's all I hear about. So yeah, that one is probably the one that kind of sticks out because that's the one I keep hearing about.
All right, we do a little game called 5 for 5. I'm going to name 5 of your former Gator teammates. You got to tell us the first word that comes to your mind. You ready?
I hope so.
Number 1, Javon Kirst.
Freak. I'm the one that gave him his name.
Oh, really?
Nobody knows that. We were in.
Oh, really?
How'd that happen?
We were in the Southwest Rec playing basketball, and I seen him. By then he was a huge guy. And we were like playing basketball, and he was just like, even like as an athlete, he was just freakish. I was like, you a freak. It's like, you're a freak. I'm going to call you the freak from now on. And it stuck. Because I guess people like Riedel and Ike and all them were there, so they heard it. He's like, oh, yeah, that's it. Freak. I was like, yeah, you a freak. Like, you're a freak of nature. Like, you started out as a strong safety. You came to Florida as a strong safety. You ended up as a defensive end. Like, your body your body mutated. I'm the one that said the name, and it just stuck.
Trademark it? You should have
I
trademarked
ain't
it.
trademarked it.
Yeah, really.
All right, number 2, Ernest Graham.
Solid. Like, he was just a solid player, a solid person. Like, he was just an all around good guy. Like, he's somebody that you could probably hang out with like all day, all night. Just a solid person, solid player. It's like he's one of those that, you can't help but to love. There's nothing negative I can say about him. I would say he's like a foundation. Like, he's real solid.
All right, 3, Jesse Palmer.
Clown. Jesse Palmer was he did the greatest imitations of every player. Of course, everybody does Spurrier. But he would imitate everybody. He was hilarious. As I like when I saw him on The Bachelor, I was like, y'all ain't get a chance to see. Like, he is so funny. Not like he clowns around, but he makes sure everything is light.
All right. Number 4, Daryl Jackson. D-Jack.
D-Jack. Whew. I don't really have words for D-Jack.
I know he wasn't there long, but
Like, for him, I probably would say overachiever. I would say he's an overachiever. I think he was always talented, but I kind of seen him come from, like, there were receivers that were ahead of him as far as like recruiting and bringing them in that were ahead of him. But his work ethic and the way he went about practice and the way he went about life, like, nobody really expected for him to do as much as he did. So I would say overachiever.
And number 5, Fred Taylor.
I would say Fred T is Fred T.
Hall of Famer?
Definitely a Hall of Famer. It shouldn't be a question about it. The only thing I can really think of him not being a Hall of Famer is probably because of the team he played for. Because they were brand new.
Yeah.
They're not exactly a longevity team, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
That was 5 of them, but I got another question. Did you have a favorite teammate?
The one teammate that really, actually, part of the reason why I went to Florida, that I would say that I definitely keep in contact with, like, me and his family, brought me into the family. He was my recruiting host. So he was kind of a very integral part because he wasn't trying to, like, make Florida, like, a big deal. He wasn't trying to be he wasn't trying to get girls at me. He wasn't trying to take me to the club and all that. He was just real. He was a good, genuine, great person. And I still love him to this day. Matter of fact, I just contacted him the other day. He's doing real good. And that's Terry Jackson.
Okay.
Then obviously with the Jackson kind of legacy. So I got to meet the whole family. The wife was awesome. Thanksgiving, I would go over there. They take care of me. They still do it to this day. So it's like the one person really stands out to me would be him.
Very
All right,
cool.
fair enough.
So you're one of the most explosive kick returners, in UF history. But was it frustrating when teams didn't kick to you?
So just because you don't get the ball doesn't mean you don't have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, as much as I want to be like, I wish the ball came to me, if my ass don't get down there and block, you won't see me back there anymore. The reason I went to Florida is because I wanted to be in a high-octane offense. I didn't want to be the only player that could, a team could key on. I got tired of that in high school. So it was like, I wanted to be in that system. So when I saw a Spurrier system, I was like, oh, that's me. That is definitely somewhere I want to be.
Obviously, now in a different era, they have NIL stuff. Student athletes have an opportunity to earn money. Is there like a particular product that you think you could have been a great spokesperson for? Maybe something using your speed, like a quick oil change or something like that? Can you see yourself doing a commercial or something like that?
I don't know about cars. I ain't have a car, so it probably wouldn't have been it. All right, it's the one thing, if you ever talk to my teammates, they clown me about this like all the time. Probably the commercials I would have done would have either been for gummy bears or Swedish fish.
Oh, I love Swedish fish.
You got to understand what my team.
Swedish fish.
No matter, I would be in practice, right? I'd be in practice. We get on a little, water break. I have gummy bears literally in my pocket. I would take them out and eat them on my break.
Nice.
We'd be in a football game. I'd be on the sideline.
Is that the secret to your speed?
Wouldn't say that was the secret, but I would say it kept me going.
So after UF, you had a stint with the Cleveland Browns, and it didn't work out. But what was that experience like to work out with an NFL team?
It's definitely, I would say, an honor. Like it's always an honor to get a chance, to do something you love and get paid for it. I guess very well for it. But when I got there, pretty much they wanted me to play receiver. I've I've never played receiver a day in my like I've been split out and put in position and told to do things, but I never played receiver. Because like once you get to professional level, it's like you need to know all the ins and outs and nuances to really be effective at that position. Like I was a really good athlete and I made things happen, but it was like I wasn't used to catching the ball consistently. The weird part was whenever we were competitive and we were playing like man on man or 7 on 7, 11 on 11, I catch everything. Somehow when we're like playing against air, I would like lose focus and drop a ball. So it was just weird. It's like, all right, when we're competing, I'm good. But when I'm running on air and I guess I'm so in my thoughts, making sure I do the route right or something, I lose my focus on just catching the ball. I didn't drop it that often, but it was just weird because like, why the only time I dropped the ball is against air? It just didn't make sense. But they also had like 4 other receivers that were under contract for a while, so I was just like, it never was a goal of mine to play professional football. It just never looked as fun as college. It just to me it was exactly what it ended up being when I got there. It was like, oh, let's just get another first down. Let's just get another first down. I'm like, I want to make plays. Like, I'm trying to get 40, 50, 80. I'm trying to make big plays. I'm not trying to just get 2 or 3 yards and y'all be happy with it. It's something I wasn't used to. It's like the only thing good about it for me was the money. Now I was like, for that, like, it just ain't worth it. Cause I'm like,
Right.
it just never was something where I was like, I grew up and I was just like, oh yeah, I want to play. I've seen it and I liked it, but it was like I love college football. Like it was just so exciting. It was just on another level where pro football was just like it just wasn't at that level.
So when your football playing career was over, did you ever think about going into coaching?
Yeah, actually, I did. I love coaching. Like I coached, helped out in my high school a little bit, Norristown, Pennsylvania. I got down here. I coached at Eastside. I was like offensive coordinator like 2012. I was at Santa Fe in like 2018, and it was just one of the things where it's like I know the game. I know how to put people in position to be successful and to be in position to win. But it was like I just felt like my mentality and their mentality just didn't mesh. So it's like I know what the defense is doing and I know what to do against it. So I know what everybody is doing on the field. And I need to make sure that my kids know what everybody else is doing on the field. Because, in high school and at Florida, that's what I was taught to do. Study film, study the game. That's why I didn't get hurt as much. That's why I didn't get put in abnormal positions because I wasn't just playing the game. I was a student of it. So when I was coaching, I loved coaching it. I love the kids. At one point, I was like, because I wanted to do college, and I was just like, at some point, it's like, do I really want to put my livelihood in the possession of kids, where pretty much they're going to be the reason why I eat? And I didn't feel as though that was fair to me because, like, I can make all the sacrifices in the world and do what I'm supposed to be doing, but at pretty much at that point and at this point, as you see how things are, it's a different breed of athlete.
So, do you get back to the swamp? What do you do on Gator game days these days? Have you met the new coach yet?
I ain't meet him like face to face, but they had where the guys come back and we see the facility. There was I think it was one Friday, so I went there and I saw the facility where all the guys they brought back for everything for that one day. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I personally, from what I see, I love every single thing I see. Like how the Gators are doing right now, I expect it. Like, yeah, I want them to win every single game, but I know who they are. I know what conference they're in. And if you got any chink in the armor in this conference, it's going to be exploited. So I'm like, I know what he's dealing with. So all I want to see right now is fight. And that's all I've been seeing. Like you was down by 21 to LSU, you came back, kept fighting, you kept playing. You was down, you keep fighting, keep Tennessee, keep fighting, you keep playing. That's all I really care about right now. Because you may not get it this year, but trust me, it's coming. It's like they got some great recruits coming in. They got great caliber players there. But like I said, the coach, I mean, I can see the players getting better. So at least they're adjusting. They're using their playmakers. They're using what they have. Because it's like at one point it's like, oh, you can't pass, and then it's like next week he's throwing up a storm. But that differs on what type of team you're playing. But it's like all I want to see is fight.
How'd the new building we have feel walking into that thing? It looks pretty ridiculous on video.
It's really nice. I appreciate them kind of bringing us back to let us know that we helped build it. So it's like it's real nice. But it's like I just started laughing because it's like because now like literally when you come from the room, like the training room, the weight room, your locker room, you're right to the field. Now I'm like, it's like that walk from the stadium over to that field is like it's like a completely different world. So it's like I appreciate it. They're taking way better care because now it's like easy accessible. You get to the field, everything's easier. It should be great times for them. Locker rooms are awesome. Everything is like top notch, definitely top notch. But it's like at the same time, you're like, man, y'all don't know how spoiled y'all are. Because that long walk from the stadium, going across the O Dome, walking through the parking lot to get in that stadium before you get to practice, it's a different monster. And that was before they had the indoor facility.
Respect.
So it's like I appreciate them getting everything they need to be successful.
You said earlier when you were working out with the Browns, you wanted to have opportunities to make big plays, right? So you want it to be a game changer.
Mhm.
Well, a couple shows ago, every few shows we do a Mount Rushmore of different types of Gator players, and we did a Mount Rushmore of Gator game changers. And I want you to know, Bo, you made my Mount Rushmore of Florida Gator game changers. I just had to let you know that.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I saw it on Twitter. I saw the other ones too, but they're all good.
Did you retweet it? Come on, man. No.
They're all good choices. I think I did retweet it.
No, I'm teasing you. So I figured, Halloween's coming up, and we haven't done a Mount Rushmore in a couple weeks. So I think it'd be fitting if we did a Mount Rushmore this week, and that's how we'll end the show, of scariest Gators. Who were the top 4 scary, and I mean not scary looking, just invoked fear, scary Gators? Who are your top 4, Bo?
Whew. Top 4 scariest. I'm gonna say Wilbur Marshall.
Ooh, good pick.
That's just from seeing him at Chicago. Percy Harvin. Like
Percy makes a lot of these Mount Rushmores, man.
it's like one of those where I'm like, oh, he reminds me of me. It's like if I was in that system, that's probably how it would have been used. But he was just exceptional. He's just exceptional. You just find certain people that it don't matter when they're on the field, you want to know where they're at. So Wilbur Marshall, Percy Harvin. Whew. We go Javon Curse, the freak.
Good name, too.
Good choice.
One left.
I got 3 people on my mind right now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say the 3.
Okay.
Fred Teller, Rex Grossman, and Tim Tebow.
Good names.
All good
You got to
names.
pick one. We're very strict.
And was in 09, I was a volunteer coach. So I was there actually with Tebow and all them. Like 08, I actually was at all the practices that year when they won it. So I was there that year kind of watching it, even talking to them, being part of it. 09, I actually was there coaching, literally all of them. So I was there with Hayden, Janoris, and all of them. As far as impact, scary, like those are just people that when they're on the field, it's good for the Gators. I put it that way. It ain't good for nobody else.
Well, you got to pick one of those 3. I run a tight ship here.
I say Fred T because I got to go with my teammate.
There you go.
There you go.
I mean, even though Rex was my teammate too, sexy Rexy. But
Rexy. When you were there in 08 as a volunteer coach, did you give any advice to Harvin?
not really. I would say he's kind of to himself. He had only other person like he would hang out would be like Brandon James or Riley Cooper. So he kind of had his own crew.
Was there anybody you took under your wing?
Under my wing,
Rainey?
probably John Capel. Rainey, I was in the running back room. So I probably under my wing, I probably would say Jeff Demps. Made sure he was like real focused on doing the best that he was doing.
And he was just inducted to the UF Athletics Hall of Fame.
Yep, all them big time.
Do you think you should maybe have a shot at the UF Hall of Fame? I mean, you won a national championship in track. You achieved some good things on the football field. I know you didn't play. You were redshirted for the national championship. I mean, you were a multi-sport successful athlete at University of Florida.
Personally, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I should be there. My way of kind of justifying it is like I did 2 sports and I was really successful at pretty much both of them.
Yeah, you didn't just do 2 sports. You won
Yeah.
the national championship. You broke records. How many records? 12 in track?
Yeah.
It's 12. That's why I was like, at the time, I was tied for the most ever. And it's like football, like I said, first team All SEC my junior year. As far as I can see, I was very successful at both sports. 12 All Americans, All SEC football.
Well, I think it's time for a push, a Bo Carroll Hall of Fame push. How about that? Does that sound good?
Yeah, right. That's right. You got our vote.
I appreciate it.
Let's get it started.
We'll see what happens.
All right. So, Bo, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know we've been talking about it for a while to get you on the show. It's been awesome. It's been an honor to have you on with us. Like I said, we were there with you at UF in the swamp watching you do your thing. You were, one of our favorites. So, it's even more special to be able to sit here and talk to you and not just have any Gator great on. It's one that really means something special to all of us. So I want to thank you so much for doing the show. And, I appreciate you taking the time to do it. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you so much, man.
Anytime.
You were awesome.
All the best, Bo. All the best, man.
Oh, man, that was awesome. Bo was one of my favorites. Number 2, running up and down the field in the swamp. And when we started to, put this show together, I mean, he was right at the top of my list. So, man, I'm just, I'm in awe. That's pretty awesome that we got to do this.
Yeah, very good insight. A lot about the years we were there. That was really good stuff.
I still can't believe how generous these guys have been with us. He was no different. So down to earth, such really, like you guys were saying, really great insight into the life of kind of a world-class athlete. Just humbled that these guys are spending the time with us.
Absolutely. He gave us his Mount Rushmore of scariest Gators in honor of Halloween coming up. He gave us Wilbur Marshall, Percy Harvin, Javon Curse, and Fred Taylor. So I'm going to go ahead and give mine. I'm going to go ahead and put Curse up there. I mean, I don't see how you can't include him on Scariest Gators Mount Rushmore. I'm going to put Alex Brown up there.
He's on my list, too. I remember that Georgia game with 8 sacks. Alex Brown's on any list.
All right. I'm going to put Ben Troop on there.
Oh.
Any defender who sees Ben Troop running at him is probably pretty damn scared unless unless you're like 6'8", 275. So that's 3. And my 4th one is going to be Jarvis Moss.
Another ferocious defender. I like it. A big guy. That's a good one.
Yeah, 6'6", 250, blocking kicks left and right and against South Carolina. Very intimidating player he was. And in the NFL for a good amount of years too. So that's my Mount Rushmore of scariest Gators. Sid, who do you have?
Well, since we already established we have some overlap here, I will happily start with Alex Brown. Much respect. Ferocious defensive player. And anybody who had to deal with blocking him definitely was not having a good night's sleep leading up to that. In the same vein, I think of Lito. People didn't want to throw in his direction, scared because he could take it and give it right back to the Gators. So I didn't hear anybody mention any secondary, so I'll go with Lito.
I was thinking of Reggie Nelson. I was thinking of him, but no, Lito's a great pick.
Reggie Nelson in the secondary for a different reason. He's laying the lumber. He's not going to be picking them off. They're going to be picking up bodies with Reggie laying them out. So you know what? I will. You took Alex Brown from me. I will take Reggie from you. That Reggie is an excellent choice. Well done. And then I will go for my final entry. I'm going to have to say Jabbar Gaffney. Because although it's a different kind of fear, Jabbar is not going to lay anybody out, but he is going to leave them in his dust. Because anyone who has to line up and keep up with him, we know once Jabbar gets the ball from anywhere in the field, it's likely to get you into the end zone.
All right, so Sid's got Lito Shepherd, Alex Brown, Reggie Nelson, and Jabbar Gaffney.
I like it. Good list.
Okay. All right, Andy, you're up.
All right. Well, the easiest one for me, it doesn't take much to get this guy in the list, and that's Javon Curse, right? The freak. The freak is on the list no matter what.
Freak.
So Javon Curse. I'm going to go with a guy that I remember, linebacker that I remember just wreaking havoc, Mike Peterson.
Ooh, nice. Coach Mike Peterson now.
And I think I'll steal one from Bo. Did he have Kevin Carter on his list?
He did not.
He did not.
Okay.
Another ferocious defensive lineman, though. Good call.
Yeah. Kevin Carter for sure. And then my last one's going to be because of one major hit.
Oh, I know it.
I'm going to go with Major Wright.
Major Wright with the major hit. Good call, Andy.
You can't go wrong with that, but that's not what I was thinking.
Who were you thinking?
I was thinking, because you said because of one hit, and yeah, Major Wright's hit, I mean, that's just epic. Maybe the biggest hit in Florida Gator history. But I was thinking Earl Everett.
Okay.
Against Troy Smith, where his helmet's off, and he's just like, Troy Smith, was he the Heisman winner that year?
Set the tone in the title game. That was it.
Yeah, if you weren't scared before the Major Wright hit, you should be afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
So, Javon Curse, Mike Peterson, Kevin Carter, Major Wright.
And those are our Mount Rushmores of scariest Gators in honor of Halloween. Gentlemen, man, it's been fun. Downloads keep going up. Can't ask for anything more.
It's crazy we get to do this. This is a lot of fun. I mean, these guys have all been awesome. I've said it before, and you guys have said it. It's just crazy how awesome they've all been. And that's the feedback I'm getting, too, from, friends that are listening to the show. They're just amazed at how these guys are. They're just down to earth, open, talking to us like they're one of the guys. Pretty awesome.
And I was this many days old when I found out how the freak got his name. Who knew? This is very knowledgeable, informative stuff here. We now know that Bo named the freak. That's insight you get only here on All for the Gators podcast.
Good liner there, Sid. Nice job.
Yeah.
We'll do it again next week, and we'll see what kind of fun nuggets we can uncover. Until then, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.